So does anybody want to read the backstories out loud? Like one person for the fosters and one person for the homeowners?
Oh my god.
What are we supposed to be doing?
We're supposed to be reading the backstory.
So there's an example online. She gave us the backstory, and each of us have a role. So if someone wants to find that, I don't have that on my phone right now, but if someone wants to read it
Does anybody
to
have it in
everyone.
front of them?
I can read one if someone wants to read the other one. I'm part of the HOA as part of my role, so I can read that one if someone wants to read the Foster's one.
Okay.
Is anyone a foster that wants?
I can read the Foster's one if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
You want me to just start it right now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Or I'll start out with the role play details.
Perfect.
All right.
It's on Canvas.
Are you guys ready to start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. So the Foster family lives in a ritzy South Eugene neighborhood. They have applied for a building permit to add a playhouse in their backyard. However, they belong to a homeowners association and they do not want them to build a large mini house in their backyard. The county has ordered them to have a facilitated conversation, will not issue a permit without an agreement. So the Foster's message was, we have always been a helpful family. We can't have any kids of our own, so we decided it was our job to create a safe home for our kids without another home or family to go to. We are lucky that my wife has a great job and can provide for kids and enables husband to stay home and take care of the kids. This means running them to different field trips, soccer practice, the doctor, dentist visits, driver's license exams, therapy meetings, court appointments, social worker hearings, and perhaps jail or hospital visits to see their biological parent, on top of dishes, laundry, and everything else that comes with raising a rotating house full of kids. Yes, the money we receive from the state for these children is helpful, but that is secondary. If we were worried about money, we would move into a much cheaper area, but we want these kids to be exposed to a safe and calm lifestyle that is supportive to a good education and a stable lifestyle. Husband gets home school many of these kids. He takes them on exotic field trips and helps them catch up on schooling they might have missed. He plans exciting science trips and gets the kids involved in the community and volunteer activities. He also tries to bring the kids' friends over to the home where they can be supervised. Unfortunately, this also means since they are all in the same place, the younger children are often exposed to inappropriate behaviors from the older children and their friends, since many of them have come from a rougher background. The older kids are getting bored of playing inside with the younger kids. They have been excited about a building playroom, a safe place for the older kids to relax. They would like a place to hang out and spend time with their friends that is inside while it is still raining. The younger children would like a bit more room in the main house, but the family is flabbergasted that the homeowner association would step in like this and prevent them from building their little hangout. They are a bunch of old, hypocritical, bigoted, judgmental.
Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. Are you guys ready for the HOA one, or do you need a second?
Go for it.
Oh,
I'm ready for HOA.
Send it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Here we go. On the HOA side, we have worked hard to develop a safe, quiet, supportive community. Require that homes are painted a neutral color, that hedges are cut in a circular shape, and that noise is kept to a minimum. We do this to keep our property values high and also to keep this a neighborhood that we want to live in. Now, the Fosters, who are already a nuisance, are seeking to build this playhouse. The problem, it is huge. It's going to be an ugly eyesore which will add to the noise and destroy our property value. They might think we are being mean, but maintaining a safe and attractive neighborhood benefits everyone, including those Fosters. And in order to make space for the playhouse, they are going to cut down a beautiful tree, which makes the neighborhood beautiful but also provides shade to their neighbor. In its place, they are putting this playhouse that might as well be a second home, which is not allowed in their contract, only one home per lot. The Fosters have foster kids, more and more every day it seems, and this playhouse would be their getaway, to play loud music, play pool, video games, probably swear. This might even be a place that they deal drugs. Who knows what kind of kids these are? What if they are a bad influence on our kids? They will probably break into our homes, vandalize our cars. This absolutely cannot be allowed. Hopefully the Fosters will get the hint and move out. As a side note, the president of the Homeowners Association wants to run for mayor and doesn't want anything on record or a court ruling that could potentially be bad press. So that's where we're at with that.
Yeah. That the Fosters and the homeowners just get 5 minutes to explain their interests. So why don't the Fosters go first? Explain what your interests
I could go first if that's okay with all the other Fosters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm one of the older Fosters, and the reason, at least for me, why we want the Playhouse is so that we have a space for ourselves. We really hate that we're in the rooms with the younger kids all the time, and we're just so frustrated and fed up by it. And so that's the reason, at least, why I would want to have that other place for us.
All right. I'm one of the younger Fosters. And my interest is like having more space in the house because there are a lot of us, and that way like the older kids can get their distance because they're getting kind of annoyed with us, and like we just like need our own space, so that help prevent conflict also. Cool.
I'm also an older foster, and I just want to have a place where like I can go with my friends and hang out, and not like bug my younger siblings when they're trying to take a nap or anything like that. And my parents can have like a little bit more room to themselves, and I can just be a kid.
Well, I'm the father of the Fosters. Hi, kids. And I really want my kids to be very comfortable with where they live. And I ultimately think that what we're doing is one of the greatest things for humanity in raising kids that don't have parents. And I want to provide that excellent experience to as many kids as possible. And having the second Playhouse will allow me to do so.
Do we just go? Do we just start talking like whenever?
Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
yeah.
Wait, are you a Fosters person?
If you're a foster family, you can-
Right now we're doing
Fosters.
Yeah, so if
You're
you're
a foster, go for it.
Fosters.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm an older foster, and I think it's extremely important for the developmental stability of both the older and younger children to have places where they can go to be active and participate in age-appropriate activities that may not be appropriate for the other age. And as an older child, I would really like to be able to, read some books quietly and watch some documentaries with my buddies. And I can't do that with the youngsters running around, and some of the content in the documentaries I want to watch are it's not appropriate for young children. And I just think that it would be beneficial for everyone if we all had safe places to go that promoted our developmental needs.
Woo!
Okay, you guys have
Wow.
one left. So if one more person wants to go real fast.
I'll say one thing. I'm a younger child. Oh, I can hear myself. Okay. And I think it's really important to maintain childhood as long as possible. And so I'm definitely a fan of like keeping me and my younger siblings in one area and not having that influence of an older kind of maybe more like adult crowd, I guess. So I would definitely agree with building the other kind of house or whatever for the older kids. That way we could be kids and lick lollipops and stay young forever. So.
All right, so now people from the Homeowners Association.
I was gonna check in with the facilitators. Are you all taking notes on this stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So now the fosters.
Or now the homeowners association.
Yeah.
Or yes, that's what I meant. Okay, well, I am part of the homeowners association, and I want the fosters to move out in general. So I guess I think they're a bad influence in the neighborhood, and that they shouldn't build the house, and that maybe they should just actually move to a different neighborhood that has more space.
I second that as part of the homeowners association. I'd also like the fosters to just leave. I already am on edge about all of these kids from rough neighborhoods who might be like vandalizing property or who are like bored and like looking for something to do in the neighborhood, and I'm worried that it'll turn to crime.
And I'm part of the HOA, and I'm trying to sell my house soon, and I need my property value to increase, and having that playhouse will decrease the value. I am being forced to move because of my work, and so I really need to make sure that I get as much money out of this house as I can.
Anybody from the HOA? Yeah.
Did the president already speak? He has an interest on saving face. Or she or whoever. I didn't see who it was.
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo's the mayor.
Do we have a Lorenzo?
Or the president, I should say.
Lorenzo here.
I don't think Lorenzo's here.
Okay, well, if the president were here, they would say that they are running for mayor and that they need this to be resolved peacefully. They have an interest in keeping this quiet and amicable.
Sounds good.
And making the HOA look good, honestly.
Represent the president then, since there's already somebody that wants the fosters to move out.
Huh?
What was that?
You just want to represent the president of the HOA then?
Sure.
All right, so if that's all for that, then the facilitators will then take 5 minutes for each group to identify the space of each side. So who are the senders, receivers, the message, the noise, the filters? We can start with that.
Shall we start with fosters first and then move from there?
Sure.
Yeah, well, sure.
So who's the facilitator for the fosters?
Who's a what?
Facilitator for the fosters.
So if we're focused on the fosters, then does the sender and receiver change? Is the fosters going to be the ones that are sending the message by putting their permit?
Yes. Let's go with that.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then for the foster side, they would be the senders. They're the ones that applied for the building permit originally to try to get the playhouse in their backyard. And then the receivers were the homeowner association, and they replied to their request and denied it, or saying that they can't build the playhouse. So unless anyone else has it.
What?
Seeking permission?
They're sending the thing, I think.
So the fosters just like seeking permission to the homeowners.
The fosters applied for the building permit originally,
Okay.
which started the discussion.
Right. And so what would some possible noise be stopping this from going through?
I don't know if is the president running for the mayor considered a noise, or is that?
Yeah, I think that'd be noise.
Probably, because I think I handle things a specific way as opposed to if I didn't have that long-term goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a filter. I think it's noise.
And then
What about the person who's trying to sell the house? What kind of outside
right, yeah,
filter?
there's outside noise coming in from other people and how it conflicts with their interests as well.
Yeah, and also like the view of the children, as if they have this space, they'll just be like drug sellers.
And there is a literal like concern for the amount of noise that is coming from the children. So.
Yeah.
Then another filter is one of the people on the homeowner side had a traumatic incident, like PTSD, and it's very anxious. So that could be a filter, is they're seeing things through their past experiences.
There's also the cat lady. I don't know if they're represented, but putting stress on her cats. So that's another filter. Gotta watch out for those cats.
There's also a bunch of like preempted biases and judgments that are going on prior to the conversation. Like the foster family is saying that already they're a bunch of hypocritical bigots and judgmental. And the homeowner association says they already don't like the kids.
The family. Yeah, they're annoying, I guess, is what the homeowners association is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like right from the bat, they're like biased because the amount of kids that they're like fostering that they have.
And I think it's also a slam against their kids. They're automatically these awful children with bad backgrounds. So I think that's problematic.
I agree with that, especially since other people don't know the fosters as well, so they're gonna believe what other people are saying because they haven't met them yet. Yeah.
Part of the filter of a homeowners association in general is just conventions and like tradition. They just want things to be a certain orderly way, and that's usually rooted in tradition as well. And a foster family is usually extremely unconventional, so they're going to have a lot of resistance to that.
Conflict interest in that part.
Shall I move on to the next part of the?
Yeah.
We're a little ahead of schedule, but I mean, yeah.
Okay.
What are some of the main values represented on each side?
Keeping the property value up.
Well, if we're focused on the fosters, then I mean, their main values are focusing on developing these children and making sure that they have the right environment for them to grow up and fit in with society and be successful. And that's their main motive and their main value is taking care of these kids. If it wasn't their main value, then they would just leave and move to a different city where they could afford it and have less restrictions. But obviously education is playing a huge role, where obviously the location of their city, and yeah.
Good quality of life.
That was good.
Yeah, that was
Helpful
perfect.
to society, and to have the homeowners association going after them, probably offensive, hitting some buttons. Maybe it could trigger escalate mode.
So what about the association? What do we think that like their main interests are?
Their main interests are making sure that they can keep a consistent structure within their association, not giving exceptions to some houses. And obviously money is a big thing as far as property value goes in the future. They're also worried about everyone else that's a part of the association, the foster family's neighbors. And then another side note is just like keeping up a good image and not getting super involved as far as the one that's running for mayor or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like having a safe, supportive community.
Yeah, because right at the beginning it says safe, quiet, supportive community.
Yeah.
Based society.
All right. Some possible causes of conflict.
Cause of the conflict.
Oh, well, one thing is the neighbor is going to lose the shade provided by the tree, cause conflict and like bad neighborhood relations or neighborhood.
Try using the definitions we find in class or the words we use.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if there's an actual power imbalance. There's three things that I saw was like maybe a power imbalance, there's dislike, and then a scarcity. It could just be like a scarcity of space. But like,
Which can be a scarcity of resource.
yeah, scarcity of resources and stuff. I think there's a previous dislike between both the family, foster family, and the association, and then the power imbalance as far as the foster family having to get approval from the homeowners association and not being able to do what they want to do without getting it approved. So
I was going to say dislike as well because people don't like all the noise, so they don't like the fosters because of the noise, and then the fosters may not like the HOA because of their strict rules.
Well, wouldn't that be zero sum then? Because they're kind of looking at the same thing, which is this playhouse, but looking at it from completely different views.
That could be.
I think it could be both.
Yeah, because they're totally not realizing that by having this playhouse, these kids are going to have a better education than like childhood, and then the fosters aren't realizing that this house may potentially, be detrimental for them.
But there's a way where everyone can win.
Yeah, exactly.
Where maybe the new fun house thing makes the community look good. I don't know.
That's related.
I might be trying to really just push these definitions and terms, but maybe an unfair advantage could be one as well, as far as the foster family having not having an unfair advantage by having so many people under one house. The part of the rules with the association is you can only have one house within your property, and the other families that have signed to this association and agreed to it typically don't have a family of however many kids they have, and don't really fit with that jurisdiction. But so
they do sign a contract though.
Yeah, they also signed a contract, so that makes it difficult. But
I think it's a good way to look at it, though.
Explicitly state they can't have a tree house? Because unless it explicitly states that, then it's kind of irrelevant.
it explicitly states that they can only have one house on their property. So
How about a fort?
Very like
I looked up what the definition of a house is on Google, and it's like very, very broad. It could be like a place that's covered up where people gather, and that's considered like a house.
So are we putting a solution together? Because I already see a very obvious solution.
Okay, so what we can do next is
The obvious solution.
very obvious. Take another 5 minutes as a group and do exactly what we're doing right now. So like just talk
about solutions.
Wait, what's the next step, Ron? Sorry.
Develop a combined list of everyone's interests.
Okay.
We're already basically.
Yeah, we already pretty much.
We've done that.
We could focus a little bit more on what the HOA as like a whole wants and not just individual actors.
They just want to attract
Like the president is definitely boosting his career.
I guess a combined interest of the two groups is they both want these kids like in their own space. The fosters want them sort of out of the house, and the HOA doesn't really want them running around the neighborhood. So it's clear that we need to find a designated space for them that both groups agree with.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I think the best option is to build a park. So we can have like a house, it would be attractive, and we have a little playground. It doesn't have to be in their backyard, like wrecking anything, like add value to the neighborhood.
Gazebo in the park.
The biggest issue is dealing with changing weather when it's sunny or when it's raining and it's snowing. We need a place that's like enclosed.
Then you put a cover on it.
Also, that doesn't solve the problem for the older fosters. Me being one of them, is that the older fosters want a place where they can be separate from the younger ones.
You make a clubhouse.
In the park?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
How do we know they don't already have a park and the fosters just want their
Yeah,
own?
I'm sure they do have a park. I think what if a solution would be, instead of building a separate like tree house or a place for them to hang out that's unattached from the house, if they physically attach this side house to the house and then just call it an extension of their house, is that
west side house.
That's a legitimate solution. Like additions are very.
That can't work because you
If the
changing the
walls
house.
are touching the actual house and is now another room of the house, I don't see how that's considered a new.
You're changing the house structure, so you can't do that.
Professor?
Yeah,
an RV.
You still have to get
That's
it
true.
out.
She said we're
Okay,
doing well.
what if the structure is out of view as long as you're not on the property? Maybe the HOA could agree to that.
Like dig underground.
Just the yard is in such a way that we can put it in a part of the yard and it won't be an eyesore.
I mean, if you do attach it to the house and paint it the same color,
That could work.
That's true.
I don't see how that would change. I don't see how that would be an issue. I mean, the biggest issue is not cutting down the tree. Cutting down the tree is not an option.
What if they built a clubhouse around the tree? Like, what if there was a way to build it like around it, or like somewhere to incorporate the tree with it?
The HOA is just going to argue that they're building two separate houses on one property. So I don't think, unless we solve that problem by not connecting it to the house, then we're stuck.
That's true.
Fighting.
It's a good idea because then if there's an addition like that kind of rules out the always about stuff like that.
So do we want to try to make an agenda, or do you guys want to just like kind of let it go with the flow?
I'm fine with that.
I don't know.
We need to make the agenda so that we can address each one separately.
Yeah, so it says then the moderator or take 5 minutes as a large group and develop everyone's interests, which we kind of already did, and then the moderators take the interests and turn them into agendas.
Okay.
So we kind of need to like exactly say what the interests are one by one so that the moderator can know what to run with. So if the Fosters want to start with like your like interests, like actual, like so we can write it down. Because we've already went over them, but you know, just for
Yeah. I think.
Fight for your case.
Huh?
Just fight for your case.
Yeah, I think one of the Foster's interests is to have a separate space for the younger and older kids in order so that there's, I guess, like age allowed conduct in each area and it's not inappropriate for some of the younger kids. So that's one of the interests, I would say.
Okay.
Separate spaces.
I think another one for the Fosters would be to maintain the good quality of life for both younger and older kids.
So I'm going to butt in just for a second and point out there are two features. There's the mute feature and a chat feature. So when you're talking, if you hit the mute button, that's helpful sometimes if you're noticing that there's a lot of echo or feedback. And also the chat feature is a great way to send agreements and ideas back and forth to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Oh, we can write the interest.
That's all.
I did.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay.
That's good to know.
So when we're talking, we press mute. Okay.
Make a lot of sense.
Right. Because some of you are getting that feedback and echo, so sometimes that can be helpful to press mute.
When you're talking?
I think it's while you're talking. Yeah, I can hear you.
If you mute while you're talking, no one will hear you.
What does a mute button do?
Wait, Mandy, hit the mute button again so I can see if I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you still.
I think it's just because you guys are in the same room.
Yeah.
I could hear her through my headphones when she said that, though. I wasn't listening to her in the room.
Yeah, I can still hear her when it's on mute.
Okay. Everybody, I'm pressing mute. Can anybody still hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you still.
I think mute just mutes everyone else out.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about, so back on, like, is another foster interest? We have separate spaces, quality of life for kids.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that was going to interrupt I didn't know it was going to. Oh, wait. We're done with that list.
Oh, it's fine. 1 or 2 more probably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did kind of mention that like they're always so busy taking their kids to like soccer games and like school and extracurriculars. Like, what can that have to do with like building the clubhouse? Is it going to be like a relief or some place for them to go so that they don't have to like worry about their kids while they're doing all this other stuff?
Well, I
Well,
think
they,
it's
a big part of why we can't have the kids meet somewhere else alone is because it says that they want to have the kids' friends come over to their house where everyone can be supervised.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
So that's why the park idea wouldn't really work.
They're a safe space. Safe and controlled space.
Yeah.
Monitor, yeah.
It's a bunch of children hate it.
Okay, what about like some more homeowner association interests? Let's switch over.
Keep the contracts accountable, pretty much. Big thing.
Yeah.
Consistency with rules.
Yeah, consistency.
Keeping their property value high.
Yeah, I think Jameson wrote property value.
Okay, perfect.
Saving face, yeah.
I mean, yeah, obvious of like just like preserving the natural beauty of the city and the trees.
The tree.
There's also like with the mayor, like with the president running for mayor, there's some like, you know, self-interest in there too.
Right, yeah.
He doesn't want this, the black mark if they like decide to like try to take legal action.
Yeah.
Yeah, the HOA and the foster, I feel like a mutual interest of like having a faith community. Like, I don't know, because like I think the fosters also want it to be safe because they want to supervise them, and the HOA also wants it to be safe. So I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a miscommunication.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that safety thing, if the older kids are in the playhouse, is anybody actually watching what they're doing?
This is all video cameras.
I think one possible thing that could help the homeowners association out is they're worried that this playhouse would provide more opportunities for crime. You could almost counter argue that not allowing them to have a playhouse to get away from the kids would then cause them to go play on the streets, where they have a higher chance of being deviant by breaking windows or just property. Giving them a clubhouse provides opportunities to tap into that doesn't to run around the neighborhood.
I think that one of the reasons why the homeowners association doesn't want to have this playhouse is they don't want to make their foster system look desirable. They don't want it to continue. And by not allowing them to upgrade their system, it helps them prevent it from more kids coming into their foster home and not being able to house them, and it being a continued problem.
Or the homeowners association could limit how many kids they can have in one household, rather than just saying it's too many kids.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Is that like legal?
Yeah, if you own a house, you can say how many people.
Yeah.
What?
They don't own the house.
But like, who owns the house?
The fosters.
So your house is under this association.
It's like when you my parents live in a homeowners association. Like when you go into the house when you're buying it, you like are required as part of like purchasing the house.
It's a part of like the property in the city.
Exactly. You could say I don't want 10 people living in your house because it's not going straight a nice area.
I mean, it has to be a law that's passed. It can't just be like you can't do that.
Well, if you bought the house, you could build whatever you want in your backyard. But that doesn't
necessarily.
I feel like we're.
Buy the house, you have to sign a contract with the homeowners association saying you'll listen to their rules.
That's true.
Right.
Go into it.
And I was a part of a homeowners association, and we couldn't add anything on unless we got permission. So, and then there's rules that even my grandma has to follow with. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you own your house, but you don't own the appearance.
What are the limitations of their rules, of their power?
It kind of lists them when on there.
like neutral color, hedges cut in circular shape, noise is minimum.
So to keep this the neighborhood we want to live in. It's very vague.
So with these interests, do the moderators want to try to come up with an agenda? So like things that we should talk about, and then like to work out like the arguments each side. Like an agenda, it says like 5 or so things for each side of like the argument to discuss. So
I think for the fosters, one of their agenda items is making sure they have a space for the kids.
So are we on 5 right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Who are the moderators?
I am, Santiago is, and then one other person.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Do we have all the moderators here?
What is all this noise?
Something like a TV.
Someone's typing really loudly.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many moderators do we have?
Me.
Well, there's supposed to be 3.
How many do we have on this Skype though? Just one?
Is Megan here?
Jameson and Santiago.
I don't think she is.
So one.
It says Santiago, but I don't know if they're.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Jameson's there.
Oh.
Maybe we can just work together as a group and figure out the 5 things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do the fosters really want? Like, what do they really want to talk about?
They really don't want to move. That's a big one, and they want to have a place for.
Yeah. So I guess to work through this, does the homeowners association have any alternatives to cutting down the tree and building a giant?
Online class, yeah.
What?
Online, bueno.
What?
Can you say that one more time?
What's going on right now?
I don't know. I can't hear anything.
All right, let's just find 5 key things that we want to write down as an agenda. We have to put them in order. So for both interests.
So, do we want one of them to be a safe place for the children? Or like, I guess like a mutually like safe place for both the younger and then older children. We can make that into like a thing. I don't know if we want to word it that
That's
way.
definitely
that could be
one.
one of them.
That's definitely one of them for sure. Like,
Okay.
They want to have a place for the older kids to play and still be safe and monitored within their homes.
Cool. So we should put that down as one of them.
Yeah, and then
agenda items to be discussed as a group. Is that right?
what's that?
Are we on agenda items to be
We're-
discussed as a group?
Yeah.
Well, we're is that
We're on number 5.
number 5? Yeah, we're doing number 5 together because there's only one moderator. So we're just trying to find the 5. Like if the homeowner association and the foster family are in a room right now, what are the 5 things they would want to talk about if they could only talk about 5?
Maybe like the appearance of what it's gonna look like, or what. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree with you. The appearance of this is going to affect the value of the property. So how is that,
So the property value is one thing for sure. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have 2?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Noise. That could be another one, like maybe like discussing like how they're concerned
What
about
the noise.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, it should be an agenda item is what the noise is going to be like if, we've got, the friends of these kids coming over, how much extra noise is there going to be?
They said it would be a gateway to more of that noise and activities.
I just put in the chat possible thing.
Okay.
They have appearance, property value, space separate from home, noise, delinquency, and then the contract was not.
I think that's a solid list.
Does sound really good.
What is the list? I didn't hear that. Did you write it?
It's in the group chat, but it's appearance, property value, space separate from home, noise/delinquency, and then the contract.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Contract. What do you mean by contract?
Whoa.
What?
Wait, what's happening?
Taking a break, I guess.
Why do I have to share a screen?
Is this from Claire?
Yeah. I say let's just keep going. Unless anyone wants to get up whenever
I'd
you
rather
want.
get out early than take a break.
That's true, yeah.
Hour 3.
Yeah, wait.
I don't know if that was.
Sorry about that, guys. I think I screwed something up there.
But I can, but can you hear
Alright, so let's have somebody from the Fosters.
If somebody wants to share a screen, like if you created a document that you want to share with everybody else, just let me know who it is and I can make you the host so you can share it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
I'm gonna leave this.
Am I still going to be able to actually see this? Because I made a phone call in.
Probably
no.
Probably not.
It's all being recorded.
Yeah. It is being recorded, so you could find it later on Canvas, I'm sure.
Okay.
So what are we doing right now?
Right now we're on 6.
Okay.
Do you want to read that out loud then?
I don't have number 6 in front of me, so if someone else wants to read it.
Let the representatives from each group begin to discuss each item on the agenda. Make sure that the facilitators keep track of any offer or potential agreement. Moderators need to make sure that everyone is participating and that the conversation moves forward. Keep the conversation productive and step in if the behavior becomes destructive instead of constructive.
Question.
Answer.
So in the chat is Jameson, is that our agenda right there, right?
Yeah, those are the 5 things.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
So I think for like appearance and property value, it'd make more sense for foster parents to discuss that, because as like a young foster child, I don't really care about that.
Same. I'm also a young foster child.
So I'm gonna hold off until like space.
Joshua, you're up then for appearance and property value as a foster parent.
Alrighty. Well, if we do an extension rather than an addition, we can make the house look even better and have the property values go up because we have these large, beautiful houses. We'll have bay windows. We'll have tile floors. We'll go all out on this to increase the property value for everybody around us. And I think that it would make the value go up. And I think everyone would like seeing it because we're going to paint it a beautiful color. Trust me. Believe me. Yeah.
Perfect. So that's 2 in 1 right there. You would make it look like it was just part of the house, an extension of the house, and that would therefore increase the property value.
It kind of hit on a space.
I think, and don't you have to not get like a whole new, if you're making an addition, you don't have to get like a permit for it. I don't know if you do.
You still have to get approved.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
You're like adding on.
Yeah. You have to have even a, like, I don't know, permit to do construction.
Yeah. But that would be easier
Playhouse.
for the homeowners association to sign off on because it's not a separate home. So that gets rid of the issue of it being a second home on the property.
And if it's visually appealing,
Do you want to come join over here?
HOA is going to like that.
All right. Does anyone from the homeowners association want to respond to the appearance and property value point?
Say that again.
Say it one more time.
So somebody from the homeowners association to comment on the appearance and I guess the property value. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So since I'm the person that's supposed to be trying to sell my house soon, I just want to make sure that, you know, with the construction, when I'm trying to sell my house, that it isn't going to impact the people who are looking at my house and me being able to sell it.
I can guarantee it won't. That helps.
Josh.
Get proposals from multiple construction.
Can an option for the foster parents and kids be attending like a YMCA place or a Boys and Girls Club rather than building something on my property or my home under my home?
Oh.
Ooh. As a older foster, I'm going to respond and say that not everyone has access to those kinds of facilities, and some of my friends do not have access to those. So how would I be able to hang out with my friends if they can't even get to one?
Ooh, that's a good point. That was a great point.
Resources, we can't assume resources.
That was a question more like, do we have those?
All right. So I guess next one is space separate from home.
Okay.
You can
Wait, we're on space now.
Sure.
Oh, what's happening? Come on.
I can hear everything you say.
Okay. So, are we doing the fosters now for this one, or
either or?
Kind of going back and forth.
Okay, so I'm a young foster person. Wait, what am I trying to say? Can someone else go? Because I'm thinking now. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, we kind of already addressed it a little bit when we were talking about just building onto the house.
Right.
While it's not exactly separate from the house, it is still a separate area for the older kids to hang out. And the fact that there are 9 foster children in the foster's home, the extra space is needed regardless.
What that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to, like, for kids, well, me, I guess, in the situation, to have, like, some space to myself, and especially, like, in a family where there's, like, a lot of foster kids, like, that doesn't come very easily.
Yeah.
What do you think, Avery? You haven't said anything.
I agree. I think that's important for me and my foster siblings as young people to have a sense of ownership over where we can play, to establish that stability.
Oh my god.
I don't have a title, which kind of sucks.
part of the homeowners association? You're just like one of
So,
them.
to chime in as a facilitator, so far it looks like maybe there's one agreement that we are looking at, which would be to extend the house in a tasteful way. Or have we come up with any other options that both sides feel are possible?
I don't see how the homeowner association would agree with that, though. I mean, one of the biggest concerns isn't really like the actual what it looks like from if you build a house off of it. One of the big concerns is like they're worried about who are these older kids' friends that are coming in. Are they selling drugs? Are they going to make more noise? Are they going to vandalize our streets? We don't want them to have an outlet where more kids can come hang out with the kids on our property.
We don't want.
Yeah, we've got to make sure we address that on the agenda.
Right. Well, that's when they can make the argument that if they don't get this space, they have the potential to be more delinquent because they don't have an outlet to.
No one said they're delinquent.
Yeah, who said they're delinquent in the first place?
The homeowner
association. The homeowner association.
They're straight assuming.
It's an assumption.
They're assuming they're delinquent.
Yeah.
They say, who knows what kind of kids these are? What if they're a bad influence on our kids? Will they probably break into our homes? They will vandalize our cars.
It's a safety concern too. I mean, like if the kids are playing out in the street, like in a car, because driving through the neighborhood, like they mow down all these kids. Like obviously they could have been in their playhouse. So I mean,
true.
I'm a facilitator, but
the house is not a solution that we can move forward with.
It could be though, because if you're in. As for the foster family, one of the reasons why they want to have that playground on their property is because the mom and dad want to be able to monitor them on the grounds. And so if we take this home and put it anywhere else, they will be no longer monitored. And I think that's something that would play into consideration for the argument for they're worried about the kids doing like whatever activity that is.
Yeah. I think as long as we can guarantee that they're going to be monitored, then it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
I think you could also argue that since the fosters have, how many children is it? 6 or 7?
Something like that.
Yeah, in their home, then obviously they're mandating the actions of the children well, because even just a intern for an adoption agency and even fostering a child, you have to have good standing, which means you're able to control the behaviors of the children in a positive way and like help them find positive outlets. So that could be an argument too, that they're doing a good job of that already.
Yeah, and
But that's not always the guarantee either. That's something that may not always be guaranteed. No, I'm just saying that's
and I'm not saying it's a guarantee.
In retrospect, because I work with the foster care system, I know.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm just saying it's a good thing to think about.
It's true, and the more kids that you have, the more regulated I feel like it is, because then they're coming in for like checks on every single kid, and the more kids, the more checks you have. So I mean, if this family wasn't as safe inside as it appeared, it would be harder because the fosters have more kids, which is something that the homeowners association is taking as a negative.
They're taking the negative. Really, that negative is the friends of the kids, not themselves.
Well, they said that this expansion potentially could lead them to bring in more foster children.
True.
I think that having the house is providing an outlet for them to have a safe place to play, because if they don't have that, then they might find other means, and it's a way for them to occupy their time if the delinquency is still an issue or concern.
So going back to what it says in our description, it sounds like we have a really active like family or dad or something, or like mom, because like we go on field trips, we like do like soccer practice. So it's like, I don't think having a bunch of time on our hands is the issue. So I think again, the delinquency is assumed that this foster family isn't good, when in fact it says like everything that we do and that like our parents help us with. So I don't see us as like bad kids, because we do have our like hands full with all these different activities our parents are like putting us through.
It's the association with the other kids is becoming a problem for the homeowner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd be
3 o'clock.
Like the foster kids are under supervision the whole time. until their friends come over. And that's when the problem
Yeah. Would there be a way
It also says we have therapy meetings.
Oh.
So I'm assuming. So I think this whole like delinquency thing is like a homeowners association. Like we accused you guys of being like bigoted traditional people. I think that may be where like, oh, they're just all bad kids, or oh, like just the younger generation. Maybe it could be something like that. When it says like we do have our field trip, soccer practice, and we have therapy meetings. So
there's prejudice.
Yeah. Well, there is something in here that says their younger children are often exposed to inappropriate behaviors from the older, since some of them have come from a rougher background. So just making sure those inappropriate behaviors aren't impacting everything else.
Yeah.
Which is then good. We need then that extra, or not me, a younger foster child, but the older foster kids then need that space. So then I don't have to be exposed to inappropriate behavior, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the space is necessary. We just have to like figure out what it's going to look like.
As long as we can contain all of that.
If the homeowner association comes to the conclusion that they're not going to allow them to build this house, it is against his, it is completely not good for him, for the president of the homeowner association who is trying to run for mayor. And if he does not allow the foster family to build this house, there's no stopping the press that's going to come from that. And he probably won't get voted for. And that's a huge threat.
Right.
I would even go as far as to say that it would be beneficial to the president to say to the homeowners association members who love conflict and are using their prejudice in their argument, to tell them to overcome that and like kind of use that as like almost like a photo op, sort of like, this is how we, embrace diversity in our neighborhood, or unconventional, whatever, this makes our neighborhood better or whatever. So that he or she might even be able to use that as a way.
Yeah. And the foster family could be a huge advocate for the mayor who's running.
That's true.
If they come to a solution, so I think
the extension
this could be
will
the solution.
Work with it,
So I guess the question is the homeowner association willing to make a compromise with us fosters?
Can we, is it okay with everybody?
Like I said,
that we need
as a person who's selling the house, I don't mind as long as it doesn't bring down the property value as I'm trying to sell the house.
Could we like delay construction until after you sell the house? Because you're relocating for your job, so you're leaving soon, right?
Or make a compromise that the construction will be finished within a certain time period.
That's true.
Whichever one.
That people recognize that construction is temporary, and maybe we can make that known to people looking at the house.
Plus, construction is usually good. I mean, something good is coming. Something better is coming.
Yeah.
All of it's temporary.
It's not a permanent situation.
Sometimes, though. Sometimes people see construction and they just don't want that
That's true.
Yeah.
to keep happening, but yeah.
That's fair.
We could have like a 90-day policy. We could like run exactly how the foster kids want it, and then if it doesn't work out for the neighbors or whatnot, we could possibly reverse it. It's an abnormal situation that the homeowners association doesn't always go through. Yeah, I think we should have like a link to it.
Does it explicitly state when this neighbor is leaving, or like that she's leaving soon, or moving out soon and selling her house?
It does not.
It just says soon.
It just says she's selling the house soon and needs the property values to increase.
I mean,
maybe she can make marble counters.
I was about to say, if the thing has a playhouse and that expands like the house, and also if you add like some complementing features to it, that'll raise the value of the houses around.
That's true.
Depends if it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is
I think it would just be a better idea to wait until this lady moved out. I mean, one of the big concerns of having a playhouse in the backyard is like you're moving into a new home. You're like, wow, this house has 10 kids. I'm probably not going to move right next to her.
The thing is, once she moves out, we still have Madison, who has PTSD, and we don't want to further her trauma.
What's her deal?
Yes, PTSD.
From what?
We don't know. A traumatic incident. That's what it says.
So guys,
How does this
log off? Good luck.
Bye.
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 Be right back, friends.
Again, I think the shorter amount of time that we could like write in like, the agreement that girls unfortunately the better.
You think what?
Right? Like if you like write like a short construction.
Oh, too loud.
Someone like turn off their background. There's like a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, good.
Weird. Okay.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, no, I was saying I think that a good solution for the PTSD, like not like a good solution, but like the only thing I can really think of, and for the person trying to sell their house, is to like make a small window of when they can set up this playhouse, so that the lady isn't under stress for like too long, you know, because of her anxiety, and the person. So you could wait until after she sells her house, and then give them like maybe like a month or 2 months to make this.
Only work during the day, not the night.
Yeah, I work during the day during like these periods of time.
Yeah.
Like in contact with the person that has PTSD.
Does somebody want to cue me in on how we are affecting this woman with PTSD?
No, we're not affecting this woman with PTSD. She already had PTSD.
It's probably like a lot.
But why she's in
We'll just say like loud noises.
Stresses out in the field and whatnot.
Or from the noise.
Or from the noise.
Yeah. Go with noises.
Madison, where you at?
Yeah. Very anxious.
Maybe she's not here.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
The message you left that they could buy another house right next to the house they already have and remove the border fence. That would be like cool, but I mean,
That's a lot.
I don't know.
Do they have that?
I was about to say, do the Fosters have the budget for that though?
Probably not. With that many kids in a house already,
we don't.
Probably not.
Only the wife has a job, so.
Scary.
No, they didn't.
It's like or maybe importance to them.
So, do we want to try to move forward with finding a compromise, I guess, then for the add-on?
Like everyone's on their phones right now.
I don't see why we can't, but I guess it's up to some of the other HOA people. I'm only one HOA person.
I know. Like, does anyone want to speak for them and how they feel for that? For like the building the attached playhouse, making it aesthetically pleasing, and waiting until after the person moves out, and only
it's like impossible.
I actually think that the HOA might go for that as long as, like you said, as long as the extension is still like in line with all of the HOA requirements and that they continue to be. I don't know if the other HOA members need like more of an agreement, like if just because they build this extension, like they have to agree to not put more people in the house, like maybe we cap the number of people who are there or something. And then there's the small issue of the tree. I don't know.
Tree's gonna be fine.
Okay. Then
Yeah, I haven't really heard from some of the other HOA people, so I'm curious.
I think the Fosters are maybe a little bit more represented right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Than the HOA. So I guess if like the people who are representing the HOA want to take more like prominent positions than the ones assigned, I think Professor Fowler said.
Good idea.
I don't know how many other HOA people are here because I'm just the person that's selling the house, and I, but it was okay as long as I could sell the house.
You're doing great.
HOA.
Facilitator.
Some of the problems that, I mean, as far as advocating for the HOA, some of the problems that we had discussed, if I'm going to pretend like I'm the HOA, aren't really being solved. As far as like some of our biggest concerns, like you said, the house is going to be huge, and if we let one family be an exception for this add-on, then we're going to have to keep opening up our.
Wouldn't that be good though? Because it would make your houses bigger. So regardless of what the next family uses that extension space for, like the homeowners association, wouldn't that be like a positive? Like, okay, people are investing their own money into making your property bigger, adding
value.
Yeah, is that a thing?
The larger the house is, the more it's worth, which increases the neighborhoods.
The HOA could also set a limit to like how often like a family could build, like if it's just a one-time thing, and like they could make it like limit on size.
Yeah.
Also, is this a HOA neighborhood that has a lot of families? I know some of them
That's
are
a good
more
question,
older
too.
folks, but you know, if it's if they want kids around, then
Yeah.
it helps benefit them.
They definitely don't want kids around. I think
This is a known.
Or
Okay.
the neighbors. We
Moving
don't know how
forward.
big the area actually is.
They said it was a family neighborhood.
Yeah, I
Nope,
think we
definitely
did say
not.
it was a family
That's what we're
neighborhood,
hearing.
but also like the tree. I want to go back to the tree for a second. Like, is that like in the middle of the backyard? Like, is that tree like? Does it have to be torn down?
I think we're led to assume that if we build this house, then that tree needs to come down. That's
Yeah, exactly. So that's another issue because I think we were kind of like, oh, we'll just avoid the tree. But
I feel like we could avoid the
Well,
tree.
where is the tree located in comparison? If it's an attachment to the house,
No.
does it end? Tree.
Oh, we could
actually, because maybe if we make it as an attachment, it'll because the permit that they tried to request was for a separate.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely necessary that we don't build a separate house, but we attach it to our house.
Yeah. So maybe
I agree with that.
The
That's
tree
progress.
You're
Before you're
closer.
saying there's no way that we
So
could attach.
building an
That's
addition.
progress.
Building an addition, paint the same color, make it look like the house is just a little bit bigger.
But representative of HOA, is Julie in here?
Oh, someone just wrote in the message area, and they're part of HOA. If someone wants to read that.
Oh, I'm not going to read that.
I can read the HOA thing that Aaron just sent in. It says, I like the extension. I'd be willing to finalize a deal that would include that the extension match the aesthetics of the house and be done with an appropriate time frame for the neighbor trying to sell her house. The tree stays. The bonus was the extension, including soundproof walls to diminish the noise and the lighting from the house.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
far
I like that. Soundproof wall.
Plant a new tree too.
Yeah, we could, the Fosters could also say like to increase the value of the house, they could repaint the house or do some landscape work around this new addition that would bring further value
Is-
to the property itself.
Is
and
HOA okay with the house being so unique compared to the others?
No.
make it look the same.
Yeah, that's why we're going to try to make it look like it's just
Yeah.
part of the house.
We're gonna paint it the same color and everything.
And it could be built onto the back of the house instead of like the front.
Well, I
or
mean,
side.
it'll just be like instead of being a square in the back, it'll just be like a
like a L.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
Like a covered patio, kind of.
It would look like literally added like a
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Not added onto like the side or anything.
We're led to assume it's going to be like a pretty decent sized house, though. I mean, they said they're going to play pool inside of it and like do all these different activities. So.
It looks like another HOA rep said that they'd be down with that as well.
Oh, HOA is ready to paint.
So I as a foster say that I'd agree with that as well.
Yeah, I'm fine with what the HOA wants to move forward with.
So
Yep.
how long do you guys want to limit the construction? We need to like a set amount of time.
Oh.
90 days.
90
days?
90 days too short.
Dad says we can get it done in 90 days.
3 months. 3 months.
3 months is good.
Is that,
Sounds like money pit.
But construction always takes longer. It always takes.
well, it depends on how big the extension is too, though. Because if it's a small extension, it could take a little bit less time.
I feel like it's gonna be like a big room. That's like it. Like just like a
Yeah.
It's gonna be
We'll
like a
say
big
like
ass
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months could work.
3 months is
If it gets done before, great.
But we have to notify.
Yeah.
We have to notify the woman with PTSD.
Yeah, and we'll keep
Like no one.
And what happens if it goes up 3
from
months?
the HOA. We can put like updates of building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Is there a
HOA
punishment if we go over this 3 month?
Yeah, we get fined per day.
Yeah.
You take a kid.
Well,
Take
that
one
would
of the
make
kids
sense,
away.
though.
Per week. Per week.
Isn't that the thing though?
Per
50
week.
cents a day.
Okay, do you guys want to do only construction from like between certain hours?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Because we're assuming also
Is it
that the
like-
lady with PTSD has a job.
Yeah,
like,
just from 9 to 5.
Oh,
Would be like
9 to
So
5.
9 to 5.
9 to 5, yeah.
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
What about the crazy cat lady?
We'll give her cat.
Yeah.
Pay for her HBO subscription.
Okay.
The older fosters will chip in.
Cut her grass. Have the foster kids.
HBO Go. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Give the foster kids a job by working for the old lady or whatever.
Oop.
Help them out.
Somebody from the homeowners association said we want the extension to look as good as possible. I would suggest a longer time frame so there's ample time to ensure the quality of the build.
Aaron, how long were you thinking?
Are you
like
okay?
6 months.
Are you okay with the more time?
I know Aaron's audio is broken or something, so
Yeah.
he's on video, but
Yeah, she's on here.
yeah. So she'll type back how long she thinks.
It does sound expensive, but I mean, like,
They're already living in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. Didn't they earlier say that they didn't really care about the money as much?
Yeah.
Money's
Yeah,
not a
they want
factor.
space
Yeah.
Well, I mean, aside from like buying a whole nother house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like reasonable.
They're established already in the school district and whatnot. So
Yeah, if they're fostering, they're most likely an established family. And they
Yeah.
said they had been trying to have kids, but were not able to, which means they're probably a little bit older, more established.
Okay, so instead should we cap the size of the extension and maybe not allow them to have any more extensions in the future? Is that like a good thing?
That's fine.
Like this is it?
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing all this down so that we'll have like a final thing.
I want to say the extension shouldn't be like 10% bigger than a house or some shit like that. Or,
Well, yeah.
Like the house cannot double in size.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, extension cannot exceed.
Oh, Aaron said that 3 months, question mark. I couldn't read the rest of it on my
Not sure
phone.
how long the extension would take to
make it
build since we
6.
don't know.
No one knows.
I've seen houses being built like entire houses being built in like 6 months. So I mean like
Yeah, this would only take about a
I
week.
feel like
Build.
3 months is fine. I feel like we should agree on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I seen whole neighborhoods be built in 4.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen
That's
houses
true.
built in like a day.
That's true.
I've been like, damn.
Cookie cutter houses.
Okay, guys. So do you guys want to hear this? The whole thing? Okay.
Yes.
So conditions for this agreement would be that it would be in addition to the house, the same color as the current house, look like part of the house. So it can't be like unreasonably attached. It has to be like smooth and part of the house. Keep the tree. Construction is limited to 3 months, and you're fined per week if it exceeds. We notify the PTSD women of any updates on construction or if any of the hours cannot be met for certain reasons. You have to be notified. The walls are soundproofed to like a certain grade, and then there's no more extensions onto the house, and the extension cannot exceed a certain percentage of the house size.
Cool. Yeah. Deal.
Deal.
Sounds good.
Woo!
Work, everybody.
Does that sound good? Like, I mean, I think that meets like not. It doesn't meet every single thing. It's more of a compromise, but it meets like a.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. Is everybody's supposed to compromise something.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, we did it.
Woo!
We don't really have any more moderators, so I mean.
Okay. What?
Okay.
I think.
Great. Congratulations.
Woo! Okay. Woo! Okay.
Right.
Bye.
So, and I will
Bye.
just point out for those people who couldn't attend.
We can't
Wait, say it again?
For those of you who couldn't attend all of it, or for the people who couldn't attend at all, I'm going to be sending a link to the recording out later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You, great job. I know that was really hard. But great. All right, see you on Monday.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.